There was a bunch of patches from Nintendo, and Nintendo is all in on Yokai Watch. Plus, Zach went hands-on with Yoshi's Woolly World. It's adorable! All this plus your questions and so much more. Zachary, if you could, put down the small, furry, fuzzy, comfy amiibo and play our cue music.
Yes, I can. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Nintendo Dads Podcast. My name is Zach Erickson, and tonight is not coming up on my screen. October 21st,
Great
2015.
Scott, Zach.
I know,
Great
I don't know what's...
Scott, we went to the future.
Joining us tonight is Justin Masson. What's going on tonight, Justin?
Man, I have found these like cheese sticks in my basement, and these are good. But I got some in my teeth. But I would say, buddy, happy Back to the Future Day.
Yes, Back to the Future.
Doc, it's 10/21. What's going on, Doc?
Speaking of happy, joining us as well is Jesse Waldack from VGTribune.com. What's going on, Jesse?
I just hope the Cubs don't win the World Series because it's
the
Royals' turn.
No, it's the Jays' turn. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah, for you Canadians, by the way, I saw something funny online just the other day. It was, there's a Trudeau is the Prime Minister, Blue Jays are in the World Series, and there's a new Star Wars trailer. What year is it? I don't know.
They used a picture of Robin Williams from Jumanji.
Yeah. It was pretty awesome. So, right on. So, everybody, let's head straight into the news, shall we?
Do it.
Let's do it.
Let's find that audio clip, shall we?
Yeah, it was a little quiet. I don't know what the hell's going on with this thing.
It was a lot quiet.
Tonight is like a weird mixer sound night. I don't know. We'll fix it. No, we won't. We won't fix it.
We won't do post.
But you know what? Here, you know what? You want it again? We have the technology to do that twice. We do.
Impressed.
Right on. So joining us is just us.
Just still us. Still us in the news.
I am off tonight. I don't know what's going on.
It's the fact that your wife brought a milkshake down to your yard, and the boys were like, "Damn right, it's better than yours."
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. Actually, I like word for word. I think the mic was picking it up in the background there.
Nice.
So basically, what we are, we've got a few pieces of news. It was kind of, I mean, there was some cool NX news this week. We'll get to that in a minute. Justin, what's his first thing on here? Paper Mario Jam, Paper Mario Paper Jam.
Yep.
Has been moved to December in Europe. What was it originally?
It has. It was actually they had just released scheduled it as either Q1 of 2016 or March of 2016. So it had some loose dates on it. I do want to think it's Q1, but it was bumped up to actually early December in Europe and I believe Japan as well.
Wow.
So that was a very interesting move. North America is still sitting at the Q1 of 2016, but I was kind of really hoping that this was going to get moved up, and I think especially when we look at the 3DS lineup has been very thin, and this game was not exclusive like new 3DS game, but you know we're needing some 3DS content for our systems, or I should say just DS content. I know I'm excited for this game, so I was kind of hoping that I got bumped, but it did not. So. You know, if you're in Europe or in Japan and you're getting in early December, let us know your thoughts. Or if they have a demo, which they've been doing a lot of demos recently, they might actually release a demo there. So get your hands on it. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting move for all of our fans over in Europe. And we do have a couple of them, actually. So, you know.
Right on. I have, what was it? When was it? Was it like Boxing Day that they had a bunch of games, or around Christmas time or something? They had a bunch of games go on sale. I picked up, what is it, Dream Team? Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Oh, you know what? It's Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. That's why I was confused. Yeah, I played Mario and Luigi Dream Team, and I didn't get very far into it, and then just kind of, I think it got distracted by something else. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was pretty interesting game. I'm looking forward to this other one too. I think in North America we may end up seeing this relatively close to Fire Emblem. Really, which seems like two really long games fairly close to each other, and I wonder if that's if they maybe even hold Mario and Luigi off until maybe March in North America, and then have Fire Emblem be that sort of end of July or end of January RPG in North America for us. That there usually is. There's been like traditionally, I think the Fire Emblem Awakening was in that spot. Bravely Default was there. I'm trying to think what it was this year, but it was something similar like that as well. Anyway, so that's traditionally like a pretty good handheld RPG slot. Sorry, go ahead.
That intelligence system game that we all thought was meh. They
Oh, Codename Steam was in March too. Yeah, yeah. I liked that game. I did. Man, I wanted to like that game, and I liked the world of that game. I think more than the actual gameplay. I'll put it that way.
That's a really good way of looking at it, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. Moving on to Yokai Watch. Of course, the Yokai Watch demo is coming out tomorrow. By the time you are listening to this, if you're listening to it on the download, then go and download it. I'm definitely going to be downloading it tomorrow and giving it a shot, seeing how it goes. I'm pretty excited about it as well. They announced 2DS and 3DS demos, bundles.
Yeah, they have.
And those are, they're aiming the right market for those. I think this is definitely. You can see this is their big holiday push game, right?
Yeah, I think especially on the DS system, I think that's one of the reasons. So Amazon US is offering a pre-order on a Yokai Watch new 3DS XL accessories, and it looks like it's plates, it looks like colors, plus they actually have a 2DS bundle that's coming out as well. And again, this is the game for those just a quick reminder that Yokai Watch is kind of being dubbed as the next Pokemon game to be coming out. So they're definitely knowing their audience. They're focusing their audience on this kind of area and really pushing it. So not a huge shock on that one.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that, actually. I'm looking forward to trying out the demo and seeing how it is, and potentially picking that game up in about, I guess it's 2 weeks after Zelda, right? I was saying before the show, Triforce Heroes that we're going to talk about in a little bit kind of snuck up on me. I didn't realize that it's launching this Friday. That's crazy. So, and then I believe it's around 2 weeks after that we get Yokai Watch. It's the beginning of November, so that should be pretty awesome. Moving on as well, this one was cool that I saw in the notes as well. Actually, that you're just typing in there. Pikachu is going to be available at the Build-A-Bear workshop next year. I thought this was cool just for parents and stuff like that. Justin, have you ever done the Build-A-Bear thing, or Jesse for that matter?
I actually have. I have done a Build-A-Bear for at the time it would be my girlfriend, but is currently my wife. And will remain to be, not just currently, but will remain to be my wife.
I don't know, but that's not real. Yeah, anyways.
It depends on which bear you built.
Yeah. No, I did. I built her a bear. It was a fun little experiment that we were doing, and it was kind of neat.
We've considered doing that for like my daughter's birthday or something like that before. So
I know both my daughters have gift certificates actually to the Build-A-Bear, but we have in Lethbridge, we don't have a Build-A-Bear until Calgary, so we have to be mindful of bring this to gift certificate to Calgary to Build-A-Bear.
Yeah, I've done it a few times over the years. This problem is, if one kid wants it, all three wants it. It gets to be a not cheap expedition there.
Oh, they've got you.
It's like it's like going and buying a mega yarn Yoshi is what it's like.
Yeah, and then
isn't it comparable, like $40-$50
around there? Yeah, and then of course over the last year they've been rolling out various new MLP related characters that I probably would want. So I've been avoiding it for not only for me to not want to window shop, but also for my daughters to not want to window shop because they'd want them to.
Yeah, we walk by it. We walk by it fairly regularly because we literally live like 2 minutes away from West Edmonton Mall, and there's one in that mall that's kind of our mall of choice lately. I think it used to be the biggest mall in the world, and it's not anymore, but it used to be. Anyway, it's a pretty... Yeah, so it just, as far as Nintendo goes, Pikachu is going to be available there. There's going to be like a cool Charizard outfit. So it's something to keep in mind anyway, something to draw your attention to. So, should we get into this talk about the NX dev kits? Justin, what info do you have on that for us?
Yeah, let me just access that right now. So dev kits were sent out this last week that just passed to a bunch of developers to kind of get their hands on it, and a couple of things really quickly came out of it. So the dev kits were actually suggesting that the NX is more likely actually more powerful than the PS4 and the Xbox One. Now this is very contradictory to what we'd heard earlier on when the NX began to get released, is that it was more of a, it's about on par for PS4, but not more powerful. So it's definitely sounding like there's a lot more power behind it.
Well, what I heard, the statement I heard is kind of up for interpretation too. I think the exact quote was, in order to run the tech demo that it comes with, you would need to have a PC with high-end parts.
Yeah, it says here.
Even your PS4, your 2-year-old PS4, would still need a PC with high-end parts to mimic it. Just look at Grand Theft Auto 5 and Batman.
Yeah, the quote that I'm seeing is, it says, one software demo included the kit. One software demo included with the kit crunches so many polygons that it's currently impossible to run at 60 frames per second using current generation Intel. And then it says, we're assuming a Core i7 Skylake CPU at nearly top of the line graphics card and a nearly top of the line graphics card. So, I don't historically, like, Nintendo doesn't like to sacrifice on frame rate. I mean, they're at least going to give you 30. Although with the Wii U, it's like, no, we're giving you 60 frames per second for most of the stuff, at least for some of the things on screen. Not everything. Like in Smash Brothers, most of the stuff is 30 frames per second, but the characters are 60 frames per second. So, I mean...
It's weird that they can even make that differentiation.
Yeah, that is a little bit weird, isn't it? So that was one quote that I saw. Here's another quote that said, they've been distributing a software development kit for its new NX video game platform. People familiar with the matter said, suggesting the company is on track to introduce the product as early as next year. The exact shape of the NX hardware isn't clear yet. People familiar with the development plan said Nintendo would likely include both a console and at least one mobile unit that could either be used in conjunction with the console or taken on the road for separate use. They also said Nintendo would aim to put industry-leading chips in the NX devices after criticism that the Wii U's capabilities didn't match those of competitors. That's pretty amazing, actually. That's good news, I think. I mean, I always take these sorts of reports with a grain of salt, and it seems like they usually aim high and then end up shipping with something that's a little bit less powerful than the prototypes. I think historically that's kind of been the case with Nintendo, but
that and dev kits hardly ever have been the same as the final unit. I'm thinking of N64 off the top of my head, where the reason why Donkey Kong 64 came with the memory expansion is because it was required to play it, otherwise they'd end up with a game-breaking bug that they couldn't fix because their dev kits had the extra memory. So they had no dev kit with the minimal RAM. So they just gave everyone the memory.
So I mean, honestly, what this is sounding like to me, like it's saying we're not sure what the hardware is yet, but it's going to shape with it will include one console and at least one mobile unit that could be either be used in conjunction with the console or taken on the road for separate use. What that sounds like to me are two things: is that it sounds like a package, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're buying a Wii U and a 3DS together,
or just the Wii U,
or just the Wii U. Imagine if you bought the Wii U, but the gamepad was portable. Is kind of how and probably more compact.
Which is kind of the thing we've always talked about, right?
Yeah.
It will be this bridging device.
Mm-hmm. Here's my other concern with that: is that sounds like from this here, that sounds expensive as hell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? like we had a big enough problem with the Wii U, being $350 when it came out. Given what I'm seeing here, there is no way that what they're describing here is any less than $500 when it comes out.
My initial guess is I think they'll be in multiple SKUs, obviously, but for the base system, my guess is maybe it'll be around 400, and then another 100, for the mobile component, maybe bundling them together for 500.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
but it's still that take that compared to buying a Wii U and a 3DS at the same time. This is still cheaper. This what we're planning, what we're thinking. So
Yeah,
It's true.
I don't think it's yes, it's expensive, but I also don't think it's unreasonable.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I just, I don't know. I hope they wait until I am no longer a poor student to release this.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, based on what we're hearing from the fact that the devs,
you've got 13 months. Get it going.
This information. Do we think this is gonna be 2016? Are we feeling more confident now?
I think so.
I'm still skeptical. Honestly, I don't think.
It won't surprise me either way.
You think either way is?
But it sounds like after a lot of what I've heard last week, it sounds like it's leaning towards 16 again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm, and who knows? Maybe it could be like if they're going holiday 2016 seems pretty quick. Especially, here's the thing: is that if the Wii U next year has the new Zelda coming out, we've got Star Fox, we've got a bunch of other games. I feel if they can ride the Wii U into holiday 2017 and really get some great launch software ready to go by then, and really have a killer lineup, I'm okay waiting until 2017, holiday 2017 for the NX. I'm totally fine with that, because I don't feel like the Wii U is done. You know what I mean? Like I just don't feel like I feel like the Wii U has more juice left in it, and we could ride the Wii U wave to holiday 2017 if that means that the NX has a stellar launch lineup.
Yeah, Alexis in the chat says, I'd like to see the mobile component to be a 3DS successor. I don't know how that'll work, but it could be great. And I replied in the chat that that's my guess as well. I don't think there'll be a DS4 system. The mobile component of the NX is their next gen mobile.
Yeah, and I like his statement he just made. Handhelds are Trojan horse for the home console. Great statement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
And then Video Game Guru reminded us that Sharp FE is still coming out.
Yeah, I mean, so 2016. I mean, for what we've seen of 2016, at least, I feel like we're okay. I feel like we're okay to just ride this wave until holiday 2017, and then get our Super Mario Galaxy 3 as a launch title and whatever else, right? Like have some of these games,
Zelda,
Metroid Prime 4, right? Like I don't think Zelda. I'm still holding strong that Zelda is not going to be NX, but that's just me. I think that they would be really smart to just let Zelda be on the Wii U and let that push some sales out. But that, yeah. Anyways, so that's the NX. Any other thoughts on that, guys?
No, I feel like we're getting closer and closer to getting some kind of official information with the NX.
Mm-hmm.
Right, dev kits are out. I do want Nintendo to get in front of this though. I want to see a demo unit. I want to see something soon.
What if because it was about, what if it was in their January Nintendo Direct, which, I mean, they say Nintendo Directs are still going to happen. January Nintendo Directs are almost they're like a mini E3 sometimes. You know what I mean? They generally are they announce a lot of big games. That is when we got our first look at Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem this year, I guess. They've announced big games at that before. I wouldn't be surprised if they even kind of showed off maybe or at least told us maybe a little bit of what the NX is by then.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, I think the catch of that is we need to see. I think before that happens, you need to see Nintendo bring back a direct. or some kind of announcement, right? Like they haven't made that step yet, and I know there's a lot of rumors and the internet's a buzz of like, hey, I hear rumor there's gonna be another direct soon. We obviously know the DNA stuff is right on the horizon. We know we've got the Club Nintendo stuff on the edge,
and with all the rumors of the eShop titles coming out.
Yeah, like there's tons sitting there, and I don't want to harken this back to like calling the show title like seriously. No, we really actually do need a direct. Honestly, please give us a direct. But like they need to be giving us more communication than just these like, hey, it's the Wall Street Journal and they reported this, or here's our press release, which we get. I love Nintendo for sending it to us, but they had such a window to their fans, and their fans desperately want that. And I think they did that better than any other company.
They've trained their fans to expect it too, and now
for good or for bad.
Yeah, well, and I think it's definitely been a net positive for them. Like it drums up a lot of interest, and for that not to be here, for them not to be continually telling their loyal fans, hey, you should still be excited about this game. Instead, the only time that we ever hear from them lately is when a game is delayed. So, or when they push out a press release saying, hey, this game is coming out on this day. And we're like, well, okay, we kind of knew that. So anyway, maybe that's a little bit negative way to end on that. But I'm excited. I'm excited for the prospect of the NX coming. I'm just willing to wait for it until it's ready. And until we really don't just have like the bare bones launch software.
That's a good call.
So, what else, Justin, are you seeing in our lineup here that you really want to?
Yeah, I think a couple things I'd want to highlight. Wii U sales were up by 110% in September over August. Now I'm trying to think, was there any games that were released in September that might have drawn people to actually buying a Wii U sale? What could that be? What could that be?
One or two.
Oh yeah, that thing called Mario Maker.
Right.
Yeah, this isn't a huge shock. We said this is going to be the system that moves a console. This is a system that legitimizes. Thank you. I was like, that doesn't sound.
Me.
I like it. I like legitimize.
That's a Canadian term, is what that is. You're welcome.
We're all multiculturalism over here.
Exactly. Come on now.
Alexis,
which again, we shouldn't be a huge shock because this is probably. Minus Splatoon, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is probably the best game that uses the gamepad, right? Like this is a showcase game for why the gamepad works for the the Wii U.
I would say so. This game wouldn't work without it.
And leans into the nostalgia that we all love for Mario.
While yes, you can create a level maker that uses a controller, it just wouldn't feel right.
Yeah. Yep.
And then,
so
Alexis in the chat says, a next prediction: there will be only one launch title, Steel Diver.
No.
well played, Alexis. Well played.
Is there a worse launch lineup than the 3DS lineup? I don't know if there is.
Virtual Boy.
That's just like, come on.
Its lifetime lineup is still less than the launch lineup of 3DS.
It's like a default answer. Don't get dodgy.
That is like the Price is Right version of 1 cent.
Yet I still want one.
Yeah. That's a
okay, yeah.
So again, not a huge shock for sales being up. I think this is one of those points where, again, we talked about it before of like, we've done a lot of conspiracy theories, not theories, but hypotheticals, but if the Wii U, which we did see good sales on Splatoon, we did see really good sales off of Mario Maker, and maybe they push Mario Maker during Christmas, can that give them a longevity to delay the NX until 2016, or sorry, my apologies, till 2017, especially when you see something like sales numbers for September are up by 110%. Like if you see a repeat of like, yeah, by the way, October numbers match September's, and then November, like, I mean, that might be a good opportunity for Nintendo to be like, well, maybe we're okay here for a bit.
Yeah, totally. It's I don't know. It's good news. I mean, 100%. It's still low though.
That hardware increase tail's got to be really long, I think, for it to really matter. We'll see. We'll see. We'll have to see what November's numbers look like.
Yeah, like I mean, it's really great. I'm excited that we saw this huge bump for it. And every time we see a really big tentpole game come out, we see this happen that month, right? Like now there are enough really good games on the system that we can that we can justify it.
So
That I can now justify the purchase of a Wii U because there are enough good games on it that people want to buy, and every good game that comes out, I like just like looking around on like different hashtags on Instagram, which I don't know how valid of a test that is, but there were multiple people who had bought like Yoshi's Woolly World and a Wii U and like some other game, right? And so yeah. Anyways,
so does Mario Tennis count as the next tentpole game or no?
Oh,
You
dude.
shut your mouth.
Okay, let's talk about that Mario Tennis trailer and how completely unsurprising it was.
I actually didn't even watch it.
Guess what? Guess who was in the trailer?
Bowser.
Bowser and Peach.
That's all I saw is the big Bowser.
Yeah, and the big surprise is Waluigi was in there, and Daisy, and
who didn't see that coming?
Right. This game, I want this game to surprise.
We did have someone in the Twitter feed who I actually asked this, like, does anybody want this game?
I think Dave does.
Well, Dave needs to give his head a shake. We're gonna be losing followers so quickly on our podcast, guys.
You know
I am sorry.
I'm sorry. Did you share your opinion with us? What? No, bam.
What is wrong with you? You know what? I think actually Brett Babin said he said I would definitely get it at a price drop. Yeah, at a price drop I could see
price
that.
Drop. Yeah.
But no one's probably going to there paying the full $60 for this.
The full 60 bics.
Full 60 bics. I don't know what's going on. It's the cheese and crackers. They're getting me.
This is the most ridiculous show ever. Okay.
Doc, it's the cheese and crackers from 2015. That sounds more like a Jerry Seinfeld impression than it does Marty McFly.
Wow.
Marty McFly will be played by Jerry Seinfeld.
Which is played by...
So there was also anything else here? I'm looking at there was a Nintendo maintenance patch.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh man, that must mean that the new online service is coming, and no.
Well, here's the thing though.
It might have enabled some back end stuff, but nothing front end yet.
That's a big thing. So Nintendo's maintenance patch, which they went through for all of their systems. So to Zach's point, this is actually a little bit of an interesting kind of thought. So we do know they have been very open that the new Club Nintendo system is supposed to be announced before the end of the year. These patches are probably back-end hooks to support whatever that system looks like.
Weren't they down for like 24 hours?
Sorry?
Wasn't the actual back-end wasn't like Nintendo Online stuff down for almost 24 hours? That's what they had slated it for.
I think so, yeah.
They announced it.
I think so. So so although nothing really sexy to report on the front end, I think this is just getting us a step closer to ensuring that we know this announcement's on its way. They're doing their work. They're doing their testing. That's fine. So I think that's really important. Another one we have to talk about is the Splatoon had a large update. It's 2.2, I believe, is now the patch that we're working on. 2.20. So there's some weapon adjustments, mainly to sub weapons or mainly to mains and subs. There's some adjustments to be in the rules to the Rainmaker and the tower controls. So it's in the ranked battles. There's some adjustments in the ranking versus S and S plus and the frequency to which people are being connected. There are actually some stage adjustments as well to prevent some kind of shortcuts and workarounds to make it more effective. There's some potential visual effects and positioning elements change and some battle adjustments as well. So and just some general bug patches. So looks like Splatoon had a relatively large update. Probably back end and a little bit of front end. It's not going to be massively huge as the first patch, which we had back in August. But this is still a patch. So if you haven't played Splatoon for a while, might be a good opportunity to go back and give it a go and see how things have adjusted and changed.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I'm really impressed that they're going to that level. Looking at for two things. First of all, whoever's working on the Smash Brothers patches could take a little bit of a look at these patch notes that have been included on here, and okay, that's actually pretty awesome that there are patch notes and that we know what is going on, because Smash Brothers doesn't do that when they do updates. But also just how amazing, how much they're continuing to update this game and make it the best they can. I suspect that we're going to see another update, like a content update for this game pretty quick. So Right on. Well, I think with that, are we good to go into what we've been playing?
Yeah, I think so. Why not?
Yeah, we could do that.
Sounds like a decent.
All right. So, first thing I think we can talk about is I want to talk with you guys. Jesse, you said you played the Triforce Heroes demo.
Yes.
Okay. How much of it did you get to play? Like, when did you play?
I played pretty much Saturday night.
Okay.
I played each of the 3 stages to completion once.
Okay.
And we ended up failing the fire level the first time, so it took a total of four level starts to finish 3 times.
That fire temple was an yeah. So what are your impressions so far about it?
I'm actually worried about the game now.
Really?
Yeah. I don't like multiplayer stuff, and this is going to be like multiplayer down your throat. And just like the Splatoon problem, it'll be a completely different game if it had voice chat or some other mechanism of communicating besides these stupid little emoticons, which, while they are amusing, sometimes they just don't get the message across.
Yeah.
So there was one point where we needed one person to throw a bomb in front of me, and then I used the gust jar to blow it across a gap to hit a switch. So we're trying to tell the guy, throw the item here. So we're actually using the throw button, and the item button, and then, throw item over here. And he's standing where we said over here, and then throwing it. We're like, no, 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 no. So we bang on the no button. We bang on the shrug button. We... no pom-poms, or yes, this is going on. Is there any of this? This took like 10 minutes before we finally got it to work.
Was this in the fire? No, I had a similar sort of thing.
I think it was the fire. It was the start of the fire stage.
Yeah, so there was a thing where you had to like stand there, and then the person with the gust jar would blow you across, and then it took us forever. Like, so the person with the gust jar would blow you across the lava, and you land on this thing, and then the person with the boomerang would have to grab the last person, and that took us like at least 5 minutes to figure out. But I feel like I got paired with pretty intelligent people, and we eventually figured it out pretty quick. But and when we did, the thing is that when we did figure it out, it was really rewarding that we had figured this out as a group together, and like it felt really good. But I didn't get to play. There was 3 of them. I only played the fire temple and the first one. I didn't play the bomb or whatever it was. But my impression is that for the first one, it was really fun because it was really simple, right? Like the first level, it was really simple, and I really enjoyed it. The fire temple, I was like, oh man, communication with these emoticons is going to be hard. And to a certain extent, I felt like the emoticons were helpful, and it almost became a little mini game in itself to chain those together so that you could communicate with the other person, kind of like what you're explaining,
right?
See, where you're like throw item, right? I think there's like in the fire temple there's a boss, right, that you can only if you throw the bomb from a specific place on that level, then it will hit the guy as he passes on the minecart. But if you throw it from the sides and not from the corners, then you can't throw it far enough to reach.
That took us a while to beat, especially when they got 2 carts running at once.
Yeah, so like I had figured this out, and I'm sitting there thinking like, man, okay, I figured it out, and I'm like, throw item over here, like throw it from here, and then you'll be able to hit the boss. And they never, like the other 2 guys never actually figured out what I was trying to tell them, and we died, right? And so having said all of that, I feel like if you have 2 friends to play with and you will be able to play over Skype, that game is going to be freaking awesome. It's going to be amazing.
That's probably the only way I'll be able to play it.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. I definitely think that we're going to have to get together and play that because it's going to be fun to play that. I guess what is this? It comes out tomorrow night if you're doing digital. So
I'm also kind of worried about the single player because based on what the some of the things that we had to do, you couldn't do that single player. So they have to. I think I heard from other podcasts that they did have to change the levels a little bit to make it work single player.
Maybe
But
it's more of like some of the the timing on like hitting all the switches at once. They give you more time to do it or something. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know what, but it doesn't sound. I think that the way to play it is multiplayer. Doesn't sound like the single player is all that great, but from what I've heard with early reviews and playing against random people with on the internet is was kind of a pain. I thought. So
Mm-hmm.
I think over Skype with friends is the way to go.
As long as the connectivity is is doable there. I mean, the nice thing is too is that as long as you buy one copy, there is download play available. So you could have you could have the three of you with only one copy of the game, and you could play with two other friends. You wouldn't need to buy three copies of the game, which is nice.
I kind of wish download play would have been available with a demo because then I would have at least had a chance to try that.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was kind of sad that they didn't have any sort of single player option with that. So yeah, Justin, you didn't get a chance to play it, hey?
No, I unfortunately where I was staying, the timing just didn't quite work, and then when I did have about an hour and a half to actually kind of jump on, the internet connection at the hotel was just horrendous.
Yeah, it was not. And I mean, even to be fair, I hope that they kind of put a few extra servers up when the game goes live because it was a little bit spotty at times. So that connection I did notice. So right on. So that comes out. That comes out this
Tomorrow.
Friday or tomorrow night if you're doing digital. So check that out. I also this week have been playing Yoshi's Woolly World, which is adorable. My wife made fun of me when I said it was adorable because only apparently old ladies say that word. I don't know. But it really, really is. It's so I went out the morning of, and picked up the bundle and a single the pink amiibo as well. So I got the the bundle with the green amiibo and the pink Yoshi as well, and brought it home. And um, my 5-year-old son is in love with this game. Now, you remember? Did I talk on this show about how he's kind of a completionist, um, especially if there's like any sort of like a visual thing to collect. So like in Lego Marvel, he insisted that we collect every single character and unlock every single character. Um, Basically, in this level,
This
or in
game is going to drive you crazy then.
this game, well, here's the thing: is that luckily, there are collectibles for everything, right? Like it has like the flowers that you collect in Yoshi games, but there are also 5 yarn bundles in every level that if you collect all of them, it gives you a costume, right? It gives you like a skin for your Yoshi. It's like another Yoshi that has been all of the Yoshis have been unraveled and then scattered throughout the game or whatever. And so, like, in each level, there is a Yoshi that has been unraveled. And if you collect all 5 yarn bundles, then it creates this Yoshi skin that you can use. And you can, the amiibo functionality is basically there is like a writing feature for the amiibo. So you can actually copy your whatever skin you want onto your amiibo, so that you can have, a cool, like, I don't know, like a circus Yoshi when you scan him into the game. So that's kind of cool. But I've been playing it. We just unlocked World 3, so we're 2 full worlds in. And this game, like, first thing right off the bat is you turn this game on and it is beautiful. It is so creative, and I'm constantly, just as an example, I was playing through today. In the second world, there was a level that was a volcano, and in the distance, kind of in the background, it's a little bit blurry. There's a volcano, and the lava is, of course, this sort of knitted orange and yellow and red knitted sort of scarf that is, along the bottom of the level. But in the background, there is like the same sort of lava that is on this big spool that is like literally being rolled out from the top of from the top of the volcano down the mountain. And so it's just that really creative. They go so far with the yarn analogy in this, with the knitting and all of that, that it's just amazing. It is really amazing to see. And this is a game that I was not that excited about. And as soon as I actually saw it with my own eyes and saw how creative and just fun, how much fun they have with the yarn motif, it hooked me in a way that I was not expecting at all. This is honestly, uh, now being 2 full worlds into this game, I feel like this is in contention for Game of the Year for me right now.
Wow.
I am so in love with this game. It's really, really fun. And like I said, I was not expecting that at all. I'm not even really that big of a platformer guy. Like, I loved Shovel Knight. I played Mario Maker for a while, but if I had to pick between Mario Maker and Yoshi's Woolly World, I would pick Yoshi's Woolly World. Like, it is the best Yoshi game I've ever played.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's so fun.
And then, so Zach, so obviously I haven't got my copy yet, but from a parenting perspective, from a play perspective with the kid, how is that treating? Like, it feels, because they've got those different modes in it, like it feels like it should be very easy pick up and play game with you and your kids, and a good like couch game you can do together. What's your experience been like with that?
Oh, my son loves it. He like I said, the collecting the different Yoshi skins, he's really liking that. It's funny because when you play with somebody else, I think that a similar sort of thing happened in like New Super Mario Brothers, where it actually becomes easier to pass the levels because both of you have to be dead in order to go back to the beginning of the level or to go back to the continue point. So he can be playing and continually like dying over and over again, as he's playing through, as we're playing through it together, and he will die and then come back, and then you know what I mean? And so we're still making progress through the level, and if there's a hard part, then he'll be like, just make me into a yarn ball for a second. And so like I'll turn him into it, you know, I'll eat him and poop him out as a little yarn ball, and then shoot him, right? Whenever he's ready to get out or whatever. And so it's really good actually for that. And the mellow mode, I've actually found myself sometimes, even when I'm playing by myself, I'll just turn it into mellow mode just because it's just a little bit more of like a relaxing, fun experience to play in mellow mode, where you basically get wings and they give you some extra health and you can just kind of fly, but flying isn't always necessarily an advantage either. Like, you don't get the sort of flutter jump that you get when you're regular Yoshi instead of mellow flying Yoshi. Like, it's not 100% an advantage. And when they say that, like, when you're flying, that doesn't necessarily mean you get like full range of motion where you're up and down. They kind of give you, you know, a little bit of a range where you go up and down, but you can't just like force yourself to go straight up or whatever. You're just stuck within a little bit of it's more of a hover than a fly, if that makes sense. So it's pretty cool. I really like it a lot. It's kind of took me by surprise, honestly. I wasn't expecting to like it. And it is a lot less kiddie than you would think too. Like, it's very, you know, very kiddie, but as far as, you know, most Yoshi games go, it's really cute, but also pretty challenging at the same time. So
now, can you talk to us a little bit about the use of the amiibo and the actual Woolly World amiibo specifically?
Yeah, so the amiibo, you tap it in, and it's only usable in one player mode. I think that's important to say, is that you can only use it if you're doing single player. If you're using 2-player, it'll just, you scan it and it says, meh, no, it doesn't work. So so basically what it does is it's essentially like in what was it, Super Mario, what was it, the world, Super Mario World, dang it, the Wii U one, the isotropic something. Anyways, the one with the cherries.
Okay. Oh,
3D World.
3D World.
3D World. There we go. Wow. Okay, so it's in 3D World, there's the cherry that duplicates you, and you basically control both of them at the same time. That's basically what the amiibo does. So you can so you pop it in there, and it kind of functions in a similar way to playing 2-player, where if one person dies and the other person is still alive, then you continue to live. As long as one of your two Yoshis is alive, then you continue to progress through the level. And then, very similar to New Super Mario Brothers, the dead person will come back, this time in an egg with wings, instead of like in the bubble or whatever that's in Mario. But a very similar sort of thing. So you play through that, and it sometimes is really easy, and sometimes, because throwing a yarn ball, if your other Yoshi is in the way of where you're trying to do it, like trying to throw the yarn ball, then it will hit him instead. And so, like, it's not 100% a benefit. You have to learn how to maneuver both of them. And yeah, so it's really fun though. Like, it actually adds a level of challenge to it, honestly, that is a little bit. It's not 100% just easy mode because you have another one. It's just different, which is really cool. I really like it. And like I said before, as you unlock these skins for the different Yoshis with the different skins, you can then write whatever skin you want onto your amiibo, so that when you scan it in the game, it's actually looks the way that you want it to look. As I also want to say about the other amiibo, I think we've kind of seen this in a lot of the trailers and stuff like that, but there's also so there's kind of like a central hub area where you can there's another thing I want to talk about in a second too, about the theater. So remind me about the theater. But so there's the Yoshi hut, which is where all of your unlocked skins are. There's an amiibo hut, which is where all of your amiibo skins are. And the amiibo skins are, so we literally got all of our amiibo in the house and scanned them in one at a time into the game. The only amiibo that do not work in the game are Pokemon amiibo, which the Pokemon Company is apparently really stingy with their IP, Mario Maker being the only one that you can use the Pokemon amiibo in at all. Um, and the Animal Crossing cards. I think those were the only ones that didn't work with the game. Everything else, it gave a skin for, so like if you scan like the Game & Watch card, it is an entirely black Yoshi, which is really, or a Game & Watch amiibo, not Game & Watch card, but you get my drift. So that's really cool. The theater, which is something really cool that I didn't know they were putting into the game at all. But you go into the theater, and there is an area where you can kind of, what is it? It's like a model viewer kind of. So like as you go through the levels, you'll be able to go through there, and it just shows a list of all the different enemies, and it just kind of shows the model like on this sort of puppet stage background diorama sort of thing that just kind of shows them walking or whatever. And my son likes to go in there and just kind of look at them and, oh, that guy's funny and that guy's whatever, right? And it'll show all the bosses in there too. And it also has all of the music that you can play in like a sort of sound test area as well, which the music in this game is just phenomenal. Like, it's just really fun and cheerful and exciting. So I'm trying to think if there's anything in this game that I don't like. And I don't like I honestly am having a hard time coming up with anything that I really don't like about this game right now. It's just so fun. I'm totally blown away and totally caught off guard by how much I like this game. So
this is sounding like a must buy.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the thing is too, is like, for those of you that care about it, the frame rate is amazing too. Like, it's very smooth, really graphically a really, really gorgeous game. So yeah, I definitely say it's one of my top picks for the system for sure. So yeah, I don't know. Any questions? Like, did I cover everything? I'm trying to think if I covered everything. I'm 2 worlds in, so we'll see what's going to happen in the next 3 worlds. But I feel less frustrated by this one too. Like, a lot of times I've played other platformers, like even some like Super Mario World or like Yoshi's Island or whatever. Like, sometimes I feel like in some of the older Mario games, I feel like I get frustrated in those games sometimes. And this game feels like it is challenging but not frustrating. So like it's really well polished. So anyway, so yeah, that's Yoshi's Woolly World. I absolutely recommend it, and it's super fun. So Justin, what have you been playing this week?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing. I had absolutely didn't get a chance to play any games at all except for one level of Plague Knight on Shovel Knight, and that was it. It has been a very busy, crazy weekend that did not allow me to do much.
Hmm. Well, how are you liking that though? Like Plague Knight continues to be
It's
amazing.
fantastic. I love it.
So good.
It's the biggest thing I struggle with is actually sometimes the controls when I'm trying to do a 3 jump.
Yeah, it's pretty chaotic. It's pretty chaotic control scheme for sure. But
Yeah.
once you master it, it's super.
Yeah, like I know where I want to go and what I'm trying to do, and it's just like it just won't let me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, just do this move right here, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, for sure. Right on. So, how about you, Jesse? What have you been doing?
Yeah, so remember last week I said that I wanted to play Skyward Sword, but I didn't have the controller for it anymore because for some reason my gold Wii remote that came with the game poofed, it walked away. I couldn't find it. So I went to eBay and ordered a new one. So the auction specifically said it was Motion Plus. So the package came in. I opened it up. It's not Motion Plus.
Oh, was it like some Chinese knockoff?
It was a legitimate Nintendo controller. It was just the old one.
Weird. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know they made a gold one that was.
The gold Wii remotes came with Skyward Sword as a bundle. When it was released 4 years ago.
Okay.
So I wasn't necessarily buying a gold one. I just wanted one with a controller with Motion Plus in it, because Skyward Sword requires Motion Plus.
Right.
So I go. I say, can I just return this and get my money back? And he tries to say, due to shipping costs, blah blah blah. It will be. Whoa. The call ended. Well, hopefully they start the call back shortly. I'm trying to connect to others, but it says no, don't want to. And there it goes again. What did you do?
Was was das?
Why are we all in German accents all of a sudden?
I don't know. It's because it's probably more offensive that way. Oh, what was that?
Wow.
Hang on.
That's kind of lively.
Okay, and we're back. That was loud that I said that. Okay, we're back. So,
all right.
As we're saying,
so this guy tries to say, if because due to the shipping, I'll be taking a loss anyway, blah blah blah, and offers to give me $3 back and to keep the remote, and still said to give me a 5-star rating. I'm like, no, this is what's going to happen. You keep your money, I'll keep the remote, and I'm going to give you a 1-star review, and end of story. So, finally, after I went to GameStop and got a remote. So I actually did get a chance to start playing Skyward Sword. I got, what am I, almost 10 hours in now. I just got to the point where I'm landing in the desert area, the third surface area.
Okay.
So I'm remembering a lot of the things I didn't like about it, which I think I said the exact same thing about Twilight Princess. But so far it's going well. I really hated the part where I needed to collect the 5 key pieces to get into the second temple. That was just unnecessary bloat. But
Mm-hmm.
which I remember the game had a lot of. That was my biggest complaint about the game. But I'm still gonna to work on that around everything else I'm working around. Uh,
Right on.
Something else that I wanted to talk about is kind of more of a fun story. Last week, a bunch of the managers from our office all had an outing, which they try to do every quarter, like a team building or just get out of the work mindset and just relax a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So they had us go to an arcade in downtown Kansas City, where their normal type of business model is it's like a bar and a restaurant, but you pay an extra $5 and then you have unlimited access to the arcades. So everything is either set to free play, or has a button near the coin slot to simulate a coin insert, so you can still play it for free. So these are mostly retro arcades, early '80s up to probably early 2000s. So, and and the people who organized this event picked 4 machines to be contest machines. We play the game, put our score down. Whoever had the highest score gets a prize.
Nice.
So one of them was Miss Pac-Man, and the Miss Pac-Man machine that they had was a machine that had the speed up hack enabled, which is the version of the game that I've had the most practice in.
Okay.
So I just killed it. I can normally score between 80 and 100,000 points pretty easily without trying. I think my previous high score was 120 to 130,000. I ended up getting 187,000 points.
Holy cow.
No one else even broke 50. So,
Oh man.
and then the other machines were Dig Dug, Donkey Kong, and Galaga. Which I tried playing Galaga, but their fire button didn't work half the time, so I didn't get a good score there. So I ended up getting the high score in Donkey Kong as well. But since I could only win one machine, they kind of ignored my Donkey Kong score. But so that was kind of a fun afternoon. I haven't received my prize yet, or even told what I'm going to get, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting something since it's due to my score.
Nice. That's awesome, dude.
So playing arcade games can pay off.
Nice.
Okay, I think that's all I got.
Right on, man. Well, let's head into our question of the week. Justin, what is our question of the week this week?
Yeah, question of the week. Actually, the same question essentially came from 2 different people. And the crux of the question is, what was the first game you played with your kids, and at what age? So that question was brought to us by Colin Harris and also by Cass Lush. So we'll answer those. Then there are some other kind of follow-up questions within that. So, what's the first game you played with your kids, Zach, Jesse?
The first game that I played, I remember this was a couple of years ago now, I guess. I had started playing Animal Crossing New Leaf, and my son was like super jazzed about it. Like, you've seen the animals, right? Like, very kid-friendly sort of characters, and at the time he was old enough to be able to to kind of move around in Animal Crossing or whatever. And I was like, whatever, man. Like, we'll set him up with his own little house and whatever, right? Like, I wasn't expecting that he was gonna do too much in that, but he was watching and he was really like eager to start playing, and I was like, all right, whatever. Like, we'll let him figure, just kind of let him push buttons and see what happens. I came back after like 10 minutes or whatever, and he had figured out how to pull out a shovel and had dug like so many holes in my town that I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? What have you done to my town, you dang little 2.5-year-old kid? Like, how is this even possible? But I would sit and play with him, and he would watch and stuff like that too. I feel like I don't know if that was absolutely the earliest game he ever played, but it was definitely one of the first. So, what about you, Jesse?
It's been even longer for me, but the earliest I can remember, my son, who is now 15, when he was 3, I still had a working NES and Super Nintendo. And had several games for him. And I remember he would be able to play Mario 3. He could get through like the first 2 or 3 worlds without any issues at 3 years old. And I think he, I think he could defeat the first boss, but then when he got to World 2, he had started having problems, which surprised me he could do that well at that age. And then he also was able to he would unplug the system off my big TV in the living room, move it into a smaller TV in another room, and plug everything back in and start playing it again.
That's awesome. That's crazy. What about you, Justin?
Yeah, I had to think of this one. I think the first games for that I played with my kids, um, they probably would have been my oldest probably would have been 4, my youngest probably would have been 2. It was probably a Mario Party game, or excuse me, Wii U Party. So I mean, basically those are all the same game, right?
Oh
It's
yeah,
all party games, kind of motion censored, one kind of button to press. So the reason the other part of this question actually from Cash specifically is and why. And I know that for me it was all about simplicity, right? So that my kids felt like they could play and have success, and it was very easy for them to get their hands on it. So that was kind of why I chose those games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right on. I feel like with mine too. Again, it was because of the characters, right? So, um, yeah, that was super fun. So, right
And
on.
the follow-up question that Colin Harris asked is also: are there any characters your kids are afraid of?
Oh, I feel like this isn't a video game character, but my kids every once in a while like they like to watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Uh,
I'm
and
sorry.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's not. Well, it's for little kids. But there is if you know your Disney Mickey Mouse lore, there is a Mickey Mouse character named Pete, who's like the grouchy. I think he's like Goofy's like counterpart in like the Goof Troop or whatever it was, right? He's like the big grumpy guy.
Yeah.
My son was terrified of him forever. It was hilarious. like like this little kids show, and like this kid is watching the first Avengers movie when he's 3 years old, and he's like, no problem with these crazy aliens going on here, but man,
But
you
doesn't like Pete.
but Pete, like, get away from Pete. It was, yeah, that is the biggest one that it stands out for me. So
Yeah, and the one I can think of isn't related to video games either. It was when the Dark Knight, the second Batman of the recent trilogy. My daughter, again, who is now 16, I think she was like 7 or 8 at the time. She got freaked out every time she saw Heath Ledger's Joker.
oh dude,
And she hasn't even seen the movie. We're just talking about in still images and in commercials. And she had no, she was familiar with the character. I've watched Batman, the animated shows since before she was born, so she knows Joker. But that iteration of Joker just wigged her out.
yeah, dude, yeah. That's How about you, Jesse or Justin? Just
There aren't really any video game characters that my daughters are really scared of. My youngest does mention that Bowser is scary, like isn't like bad Bowser, and but really actually what they're scared of, interestingly enough, is mascots.
like a
My
sport.
youngest daughter is like petrified scared of Twister, the local mascot for the hockey team here, to a point that I actually almost had to take her home during a hockey game once because
Wow.
she freaked out. And it is like unbearable shaking. And God bless whoever the poor kid was that was in Twister, saw what they were doing to my small daughter, and they ran away and like hid. But yeah,
Oh, that's funny, dude.
Oh yeah, real funny.
So you're not going to bring her to any furry conventions anytime soon.
No, that ain't gonna happen.
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, when I say it's funny, I mean you'll be able to look back on that later and it will be hilarious, but it's not funny right now. Anyway, right on. That is awesome. Let me fade this music out here as we get uh into you hear that? Can you hear it? In the distance, the postman approaches. Right on. So, Justin, could you please read the first email for us?
Sure, absolutely. Our first email is from Chris, and it says, "Hey, Dads, I was thinking about Nintendo games. Of course, DLC for Splatoon and Smash is a great idea, but how about DLC for Animal Crossing New Leaf, Pokemon, or us?
Omega Alpha Sapphire.
Cool. I was like, well, I don't know what the hell that is. And Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, 3D World, Mario 3D World, or Nintendo Dog." So essentially, he's asking like, "Hey, we've done a really great job of DLC for new games that are kind of like current, but like, what about old games when going out for DLC? What are our thoughts on that?"
I think for some of these, there's been, like, I'm thinking specifically about like Animal Crossing New Leaf and Pokemon. There has been some. They have some sort of, it's stuff that's locked on the cart, I think is what's going on. But I'm thinking about like more of like those Nintendo Zone, like go to a Nintendo Zone and then log in and you'll get a free item in Animal Crossing, stuff like that.
Yeah, and Pokemon, even going back to Generation 4, have, go to GameStop and do this with your system between this hour and this hour, and you'll get a shiny Deoxys or some weird thing that you won't be able to get just natively in the game.
Yeah, I feel like in some of those, I feel like it would be fun to have bigger chunks of DLC made available, but I don't know why I don't expect it, but I don't yet. I feel like Nintendo hit this turning point where like moving forward, DLC is kind of a given almost in a lot of their main games. I don't really expect it even out of Yoshi's Woolly World, right? Like I don't really think that's going to happen. But
indirectly, you already do. With Amiibo support is in itself DLC.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of that's.
But I'm not expecting anything more than that to come out of it.
No, I don't think so either. They may update the Amiibo skins, but I mean, basically how that game treats Amiibos that are not supported is there is just a Yoshi skin that's called the Amiibo Yoshi, and it's like Yoshi with an Amiibo T-shirt on, So, like that's basically all it is. But so yeah, I don't know. I feel like, again, I would rather have them release like Happy Home Designer instead of create a bunch of downloadable content for New Leaf. I would rather see a cool spin-off game than create downloadable content for an existing game.
Amiibo Party?
Yeah. That I mean
not the one you were looking for.
No, ask me on a different day, and like I feel like I've been excited about that game in the past, and at least just now as you said that, I'm feeling like it's just a huge cash grab is what that game is. But yeah, I think that I don't know. I don't really want them to spend time away from developing new games just so they can develop DLC.
Yeah, some games DLC makes sense, especially if it's like an action-oriented game, like Hyrule Warriors. That I think DLC was done very well there.
Mm-hmm.
You're able to buy a season's pass, and then that kind of locks you in. You're not going to spend any more than this, and then any new DLC you just get. Outside of maybe a few costumes. The costumes might be a little extra.
Yeah.
And unlike Smash, which I don't know how much money I've dumped into Smash.
Oh my gosh,
probably
dude.
Close to 100. I'd say $120 to $140 now, and probably more for your side if you bought everything I bought.
I've bought all the stages and all the fighters and quite a few costumes actually.
I think I've purchased everything that can be purchased on the Wii U version. I didn't buy anything for the 3DS.
Yeah, see, I've made sure to buy it for both. So,
So you've probably spent more than me then,
yeah.
even though you had, yeah. And but things like Zelda, Link Between Worlds or the upcoming Wii U one. I don't want DLC in games like that. Maybe something cosmetic. Let me pick other costumes, but I don't want it to turn into a pay to win game.
Yeah, and I think the other, like for Zelda, for example, or for Star Fox, like the idea of having like additional missions or something like that. Like for Star Fox, I think additional missions would make sense. Or additional
if the game is short enough to start with.
Yeah. Or what they could do is maybe even take in Star Fox, maybe even take like the model Pikmin 3 had, where it was sort of this time attack stages, and they could have those as in different bundles or something. I think that I would go for that. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but
what about you, Justin?
I like the idea of DLC, and I think that Nintendo in the last little bit, I kind of want to say they've been doing it right, but I also feel like they've been doing it wrong. I feel like they're still trying to find out their identity for what they want for DLC, and I think of like Smash, I feel like we're being nickeled and dimed. Mario Kart 8, I felt like I was stealing it from Nintendo.
Yeah.
True.
And then Splatoon, I'm still a little confused. And Mario Maker, I'm still not really 100% sure if it exists. So,
but at least with Splatoon, none of that has been paid DLC, right?
No, exactly.
Everything has been free.
Yeah, but you kind of like you're like, it's not really DLC. I bought it, haven't
it's
I?
Almost like it's
hidden.
Like,
so it's kind of like,
well, yeah.
But the way it's released feels like it's DLC.
Up until the August release, yes, everything has been on disc, and then they had the August update, which probably installed 15 new guns, which they still slowly rolled it out.
It kind of feels like
but at this point we are in the DLC realm. It's just been free.
Yeah, it's such a weird model, and I also mean, they're also not clear in their communication of their DLC and what will have DLC, what won't have DLC, right? So I mean, Mario Maker, will it have DLC? We've all asked for it, but we don't know if it'll actually have it. We assume. But Zach, as you're talking here, like, should you expect Yoshi's Woolly World to have Mario DLC? Well, no. Okay, well, I challenge you with the question of why, right? Or Star Fox, should have DLC. Well, it might, questionable, right? Like, and we've discussed it before, where I think DLC is could be potentially such a trap, right? Like, day one DLC, I am so angry with it. I think it's the dirtiest trick in the industry. Right, so is there enough content in here to justify a $60 $70 game tag, and do you have the proper resourcing and the proper points or price structure to be able to offer a reasonable additional amount of content? And the idea of it is that if you put out DLC, it just draws people back that content, that game, so they continually play it, and you're still making a revenue stream off it. So it makes sense. I think what Nintendo really needs to do, if I'm being honest, Chris, about their strategy, is they need to effectively communicate their DLC strategy going into the purchasing of a game or very shortly after the release of a game. Yeah. So whether it's on the back of the box or the copy that you download and says, by the way, we will have digital content available to purchase shortly after, or how much, then I think that's fine. In relation to going back and doing some of these old games, they obviously won't from a retail perspective. But, could they? I would love. I'm almost finishing A Link Between Worlds. Can they add in additional content? The challenge of it is also like, is additional content just a skin, right? Now Link runs around in a pink tunic? Well, I don't want that. I want content, and how can DLC potentially alter the original? I don't want to say scoring, but the original creation of the game and modify it, right? So it's just a separate submission. I think of games like, sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. But I think of games such as Splatoon where the story is pretty thin. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's you don't need a thick story that I can just I can drop a patch in and I'm fine for DLC. Or something like A Link Between Worlds, there is a rich story and a canvas there that ties itself up the entire front to end of the story in a bow that you really can't just add an additional thing without kind of feeling weirdly out of place. But then I think of, the strategy of Shovel Knight and their DLC for Plague Knight. I mean, they essentially reskin the entire game, and in that reskinning gave the character very different attributes, which then makes it a whole new game altogether, right? And I think like those, so DLC is such a critical component of the strategy. And I think even, Zach and I were talking to the team at 13 a.m. Games who did Runbow, and we asked, like, where do you think about DLC? And the gentleman we were speaking to and the team there said, like, if you're not thinking about it when you're designing the game, you're doing it wrong.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, like, so what does that mean from a developer? And I think I haven't really answered your question, Chris, but I'd love to see DLC.
I feel like, yeah.
At a reasonable price.
Yeah. I think, too, like, the trend that we're seeing from Nintendo, at least on the Wii U, is you've got to check a few boxes for a game to be considered for ongoing support. Is it a multiplayer game? Yes. Is it a online game? Yes. Okay, then if those two things are there, that the likelihood, this is kind of answering your question from before, about why is it that I don't think Woolly World is going to get it, and I feel like that's why. It's not an online game, and it's not it's not competitive multiplayer. I think that those two need to be there in order for Nintendo to seriously consider DLC. So at least that seems to be their trend so far. There are some exceptions in the online or in the handheld realm, like Fire Emblem Awakening. That was really early on, but there usually is some sort of competitive component. Even when you look at something like Pikmin 3, where there's that sort of multiplayer competitive thing going on. That's more of a local, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that is, that sort of thing there where if it's just additional missions and stuff like that, lately they aren't as likely to do that. They're more likely to go sort of like a new Super Luigi U route and maybe blow out the with lots of content all at once. I don't know if that's making sense, but that's sort of my impression at least.
Then I've said this before, but another problem with DLC, especially if it's DLC on cart or on disc, is in the future when those services that deliver the DLC no longer exist, you end up with a half a game that you can't access fully anymore. Like, yeah. I had that problem with Dragon Quest IX, and I'm thinking back of other games like the first 3 Layton games. They have the little side menu, non-story section of the game where it unlocks a daily puzzle, but can't unlock them anymore because that service is down.
Right.
So imagine 20 years from now, someone wants to play Splatoon, they're not going to get a hell of a lot of game.
Yeah.
Because they'll have only what's on the disc.
Yeah.
Again,
although,
with no, and with the servers down anyway, they're stuck with the limited single player.
Arguably, at that point, then Splatoon like Neo something, I don't know, would be out, and you'd be able to play the newest version.
Well, true, but again, there's 45 Mario games, but sometimes I just want to play Mario 1, and I can do that, and it's still the same game that I played 30 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Right on.
25 years ago.
Yeah, I'm gonna read this next. This was a message on Twitter that we got. That's right, correct. Justin. And this is from Enderbender. Awesome name. He says, my son just turned 3. He can only do one button at a time. We do Mario Kart. I steer. He accelerates. Any Wii U game ideas? Justin, do you have any? I'm just trying to think for 3-year-old.
For I would probably I'd go back to something like Wii U Party or Mario Party 10. Those are kind of games that are really easy because again it's kind of press one button or shake the remote, or those are kind of easy games to jump into. I would think maybe Nintendo Land potentially that might have been bundled in.
Actually,
like certain ones in that one might be pretty easy to use.
Like the Animal Crossing game for that.
Yeah.
Again, that's a little bit more advanced, but like me and my son have played that game a lot actually. Where one of us will be
one of the roles. The other role will be pretty difficult. One that,
Yeah, there's usually, and like I mean, the Mario chase one or whatever it is, where you have to chase Mario.
that'd be a good one.
Even if it's literally just you are, uh, I can't remember exactly who's. I think Mario is the one running away. Even if you are Mario and you literally run right into him so that he wins, it's still fun for him. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like it's so like if that's the kind of thing that when my son was not as good as he currently is at the game, I would do that, and it was fun for him. So and he was kind of getting used to the controls as you kind of run around and kind of getting him used to the using the joystick to control the character, and it was fun. I liked it. So,
Of course, at 3, the gamepad's like 3 times the size of your head.
Yeah,
It's huge.
Yeah. So,
yeah, anything that's kind of motion based that's easy for you to manipulate or to move, right? I think Mario Kart is a great example of it, right? That's very easily motion based. I don't want to think like Splatoon. You're not. So, I mean, Splatoon, you're playing with them on your lap essentially, right? And they're watching the colors more than anything else. But yeah, motion is probably where you're going to go first.
And then maybe some of the virtual console games, old NES games. Back then they only had 2 buttons anyway. Like I said, Mario. When my son was 3, he was playing Mario 3 and did well enough to enjoy himself.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe this is a little bit too difficult, but the virtual console version of Duck Hunt is actually pretty impressive. And especially for kids, because they put the reticle on the screen, which ruins the entire idea of Duck Hunt, is that you're blindly aiming at the TV, and they put a reticle in the virtual console version. It might be for kids though.
But they had to, just because you have no other sight. Because just because you're pointing at this point on the TV doesn't mean you're actually pointing at that point of the TV.
Yeah, but then you just have a calibration thing before it starts.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. It was that's always bugged me with that. I was really excited for that, and then when I saw that, I was like, this is like. It is literally the easiest thing in the world to play that game with a reticle. Like,
it is.
Yeah, it was really bad.
I think when I played it, I was pointing it at the big TV, but still looking at the gamepad.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even looking at where I was aiming, but I could still aim because I could see where the reticle was.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. That's a few ideas. It is 3 is a hard age. Like it's like the age where they're interested and they want to play, but they kind of are not very good yet, and to the point where it's like it's really frustrating to kind of teach a kid how to play a game. But yeah, like just finding things.
Especially if a game looks like it could be easy enough, but ends up being very chatty.
Yeah.
If your kid can't read yet, it's kind of hard to play those games.
Yeah, there's a lot of games like that right now for my son. So.
I think when my son was around 6 or 7, where he could read a little bit, but not really great yet, and he was trying to play, like, I think Final Fantasy IV.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't care to read it and just skip through it everything. So at one point he goes, I don't know what to do next. I'm like, well, you were supposed to read the text. It tells you where you go.
Yeah.
So it didn't last very long.
Yeah. How about you, Justin? Can you think of anything else before we wrap that up?
No, I think those are the big ones I would suggest. But I mean, I would actually just say this, Ender Bender. Yeah, it's fantastic. Just any time, just sitting with them, on the couch, or just with them on your lap, and them just being able to either have the controller near them, understanding it,
or just holding a controller that's not plugged in.
Controllers. Yeah, I think, who was it that was telling the story that they would do that? They'd give them a controller, but like have no batteries in it. And so they kind of made them feel like they were playing along as well. So just kind of get experience. Again, of course, always watching the content onto what you were playing, right? I made the comment of, a couple of years ago, I was maybe not as intelligent. I was playing like Batman Arkham City in front of my kids, and I was like, oh, they just killed the Joker. No, that's not good for my 5-year-old to watch.
Video Game Guru suggests Kirby Epic Yarn.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah.
So I mean,
actually, Woolly World.
Woolly World, yeah.
Woolly World is a little bit. It's a little bit. There's a lot of, especially with the yarn ball throwing mechanic, it can get pretty tricky. But it's the kind of game that if you're doing 2-player, you can very easily, just kind of let the kid do whatever they're going to do and just keep playing.
Yeah.
So that's fairly good for that too.
Yeah, so I think like anything that just the content you feel safe to play, it's okay just to have them there and playing that in your lap with them, so to say, right? So that at least gets them exposed to, maybe though the complexity of the game may not be able to play, they at least get the idea of what's it like, what's the core principles or ideas behind games.
Though that doesn't work as well when your kid's 15.
No, probably not.
Oh, come on.
Just
sit down
just
on
put
my
them in your lap.
Yeah, right on. Cool. Right on. Well, I'm going to queue up our music here. And Justin, why don't you remind people about these couple of things we got going on here?
Yeah, so a couple reminders as Zach's queuing up for music. A couple things we want to talk about. If you have not queued or checked your recent podcast feed, you may notice in there an After Dark episode 6. And this is what we're calling the State of the Podcast Union Address. So Zach, Jesse, and I debunked or debriefed and broke down the survey that we had you guys fill out a couple months ago and talked about what you asked for us and what we want to be able to give to you as fans to make our show successful as we move into kind of a new year and meet your needs. Summarizing it, we're going to move to a Patreon model, and there's more details to follow on that.
And while the initial episode had audio issues, we pushed out a fixed version, but I'm not sure that it went out on all the feeds right. I initially tried to just update the existing article, and that didn't seem to work, and then I deleted it and pushed out a new article, and that could have half worked. So if you haven't received it yet, go back and look for it. It should be there somewhere. If you don't see it in the feed, check out VGTribune.com. It's there too.
Yep, absolutely. So you can check that out there. So in that, we mentioned that we will be going to a Patreon model where if you want to support us value for value, we will be letting you know that next week, which is our 50th episode, the Patreon will be going live right around that time. So we'll do a big announcement on all of our social media to let you know. So if you want to support, there's that. Another thing, you guys actually mentioned in the feedback that you'd like for us to do more YouTube content. Over the last about 4 weeks, we have been very diligently working on YouTube content. Thank you, Jesse, for doing these amazing Let's Plays where he's actually playing your guys' Mario Maker levels and posting them up to for you guys to take a look at it. So please check us out on the YouTube channel. And Jesse, what's that YouTube channel URL? It's
YouTube.com/c/Nintendo.
Yeah, so check that out there. Plus, we have unboxing videos of, I think, Zach, you've got one going up soon of the Yoshi's from Woolly World.
Yes.
We have amiibo cards that are up there. We have all kinds of stuff. So check that out. Let's Plays plus some old school Let's Plays retro games. And then another thing coming up soon, guys, is that in November, these guys don't know about it yet, we will be choosing what we call, what we're going to be calling kind of going old school, which is we are going to get you guys to help us select a game that for the month of November, we're all three of us are going to play on a virtual console and then kind of try and complete it in a month and then have kind of a debrief episode about that as well. So that's going to be coming up in November. So lots of things on the horizon, lots of awesome stuff. So yeah, keep it up. Tune in on what we're doing. We love having you guys going on. Now, Zach, as usual, what things should they know about us in relation to keeping in contact?
Absolutely, yeah. So, of course, if you want to follow us on all of the social medias, you can go over to twitter.com/NintendoDads or Facebook and Instagram at NintendoDads there as well. Email us, nintendodads@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitch or YouTube. Just search for us, Nintendo Dads. Call in and leave us a voicemail, 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. Being the 50th episode next week, we will play any voice clips or whatever. If you want to email them, you want to voicemail them, or whatever you want to do, we'll if we get a bunch of them in there, we'll kind of play all of them at once. It should be fun times. So go ahead and do that. Of course, big thanks to OC Remix for our music throughout the show, as well as Carter Johnson for our amazing artwork. Go over to megacarter.tumblr.com, and if you want to change the world, head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. That will, of course, change the world. So thank you all, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. sending into Nintendo to have.